On this segment has to do with update on federal government key infrastructure. But let's find out how states are faring as regards this infrastructure. The Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development came with a basket of ideas for the purpose of unlocking new sources of funds to escalate the completion of ongoing road projects and executing new ones. This has brought life into non-performing contracts with guarantee of completion. Abdullahi Mohammed examines the steps taken so far and its impact.
I do not accept this. This your Tolling Plaza roof is what you don't see this one in China. So why do you come to put this for us? Okay? Under me, I will not accept things like this.
Superior supervision, expert approach in contract negotiations, as well as cancellations of non-performing road contracts. Plus, reviews are beginning to pay back with more than 1,600 inherited ongoing contracts and about 300 emergency interventions, key federal roads. You may begin to wonder how the funds will be found, but the Hope Movement has its plans of unlocking new sources.
The government has implemented the 50% direct deduction from various federal government-owned enterprises, partially funded, self-funded, including the fully funded ones. So we expect an additional stream of revenue even beyond what was initially budgeted for this year.
And just before the critics ink their pens, non-performing contracts are being recharged.
Mr. President directed that we should come back to the route today and that we should hand over the 3 sections to the 3 contractors to complete. And our target is from June to get the job completed about May 29th, 2025.
New deadlines are spelled out for the completion of the project. What the people expect is quality and timely delivery, which the ministry assures. In Abuja, Abdullah Mohammed, NTA News.
Nigeria is also towing that path with the construction of various infrastructure, including the Lagos, Calabar and Sokoto Badagry highways. Larry Gbeleyin takes us through the 2 projects, which stakeholders say is a clear demonstration of the present administration's commitment towards achieving the nation's economic goals.
The vision for its conception was to revolutionize transportation in Nigeria and bolster the unique economic strength of each zone, adjusted to capture more states that have commercial and agricultural potentials. The 700 kilometers Lagos-Calabar coastal highway will traverse 9 states along Nigeria's coastal shoreline. A cursory look at the 1,000 kilometers Sokoto to Badagry highway shows that it runs through Kebbi to Niger, Niger to Kwara, Kwara to Oyo, Oyo to Ogu, and then to Badagry in Lagos State. The Lagos portion of the Lagos-Calabar highway is designed to pass through some businesses along the shoreline spanning 1.4 kilometers. The federal government initiated compensation process for the affected areas and businesses. The government is also planning to recoup construction costs through tolling and selling land along the corridors, and this can be made possible through creation of a scenic route similar to coastal highways in other countries. In Lagos, Larry Gbeleyin, NTA News.
All right, let's bring in our guests. We have in the studio Dr. Emmanuel Onwodi, Director, Planning, Research and Statistics from Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Onwodi.
Thank you very much for having me in your studios this evening.
All right, we've seen ongoing rehabilitation, construction, and of course, a redefined policy thrust of the present administration. And it's been tagged actually by the Minister of Works, Renewed Hope Concrete Agenda, if I'm correct. But how would you react to the whole ongoing projects across the country?
Yeah, thank you very much once again. So I think the thing to say is that we are running through a path of ensuring that we provide infrastructure that will benefit Nigerians. If you look at the Renewed Hope agenda, and if you look specifically at the infrastructure plan of the federal government, looking at the rail system, for instance, if you look at the plans for the railway modernization plan of the federal government, basically linking the south and the north together, you see a lot of improvements from where we were before now. If you look at what is happening also with the road sector, just like was mentioned, the tremendous work being carried out by the Honorable Minister of Works and his team, which I'm also part of. We've been able to take some of these transactions to a point where very soon Nigerians will begin to see the benefits of these plans. Specifically speaking, with the ICRC, which is the government agency in charge of making sure that the partnership between the public sector and the private sector, is properly dealt with, such that these benefits of creating jobs, linking up the various states, promoting real connection. For instance, if you look at the coastal, the Lagos Calabar coastal rail, one of the advantages is that it also links up the ports, the Lekki, the Onne, Port Harcourt ports, through that coastal axis. You begin to see the benefits of economic transformation as you look at some of these agenda of the government. Of course, for the rail, if you look at the Kano, Kaduna, the construction is already ongoing with the spur that links you up to Maraldi, where we have some sort of concession arrangements. That is also ongoing. And of course, you can talk about the benefits with the e-tickets program of the government, where you can now, at the comfort of your homes, begin to buy your tickets and, move from between Warri, Tape, or moving from Lagos to Ibadan. And of course, from Abuja, Kaduna. Although we have those issues here, but those issues are being addressed as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Onwodi, I wanted to call you Mr. It's good you mentioned the PPP arrangement by the federal government, which your commission is mandated to regulate that cohesion. Now we have the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund, and then the investment tax credit scheme that ensures that the private sector key into some of these key projects. But you tell us, how much impact would you say that has had on the crucial road infrastructure?
Thank you very much once again. I will say, categorically that we've had significant impact so far. If I look back a bit, in 2022, from the ICRC point of view, we had from a project pipeline of about 51 with a value of about 6.9 trillion naira. And that has actually increased in the last few months, meaning that these transactions have moved from development stages to stages where they begin to get, procurement stage and getting, private sector investments that can then begin to come in. Take, for instance, the road program of the government, which is the HDMI. We ran the HDMI 1 recently, where we ended up with about 8, routes. Now, this road will be rehabilitated, towed, and then the Nigerians will begin to enjoy the benefit. What the current minister is doing is to look at this transaction that were negotiated earlier and to see how we can then address those contracts in line with the recent changes that has occurred between the time those contracts were negotiated up to this time. And we're getting the full cooperation from the concessionaires themselves. We are now at the point where we'll begin to say that within the next few months, these transactions will begin to, the people can then begin to see how they can get to financial close. One important one to mention is the Kefi, Lafia, Makurdi route, which I think if you listen to the earlier reports, that program will start very soon, in the next maybe 1 or 2 weeks, where we'll begin to now see the road has been constructed already, but the tolling will then start. We're just making sure that the appropriate thing is done, the way bridges are provided, the signages are properly done. Of course, there's precaution so that the road becomes very, safe for road users, and make sure that appropriate lighting, of course, to do that. So that is for some of the activities. Now, recently again, we just started the HDMI 2. We just did the bid opening the submission of interest, to see how the market will really respond to that. And I could say that it was impressive. We had over 35 bids that were submitted across 32 routes. And once we get the approval of the Minister of Works, we'll be able to go to the next stage and see how these projects can move. The government is really making sure that Nigerians begin to see in a very short term the effects of this economic policy. So there are serious and strategic plans to ensure that these economic reforms begin to translate into what Nigerians will be very proud of. And ICRC remains focused, remains determined to support the federal government in achieving these strategic objectives.
All right, and it's good you mentioned that there's room for bidding to expand, investments. We'll pick up with the conversation when we come back from this break. Please stay tuned. Continue the conversation. Dr. Onwodi, you saw the reports just shown. If we want to look at the rail sector, which is part of the infrastructure projects we're talking about, if you recall, last year there was the alteration law that was signed that removes the railway, from the exclusive
list,
legislative list to the concurrent, which empowers states, to take advantage and create their own independent rail lines. Now, from your findings, you're in the research department of the ICRC. Are states willing to negotiate this, rather take advantage of this law to, expand their connections to other states?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think one of the good things that has happened is that, they've been able to move that from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent list. What that means is that states can then begin to venture into the rail aspect, particularly for, you will agree with me that the best way to mass move people is through the rail. So you get people across.
And even logistics.
And of course in logistics. Yeah. And talking about logistics, that's part of what we are doing at the institute where I'm the branch chairman, that's CILT, making sure that we're able to, create that for platform where professionals and individuals can begin to do more in terms of transport and logistics. And that is what that's the beauty of having the rail thing on the concurrently. So states are beginning to show interest. And then, of course, working with the Nigerian Railway Corporation to make sure, for instance, you have the intercity rail program, such that states can then begin to go through certain procurement procedures to bring in private sector investors to them. And one of the beauty about this whole thing is that you see the private sector coming in to take significant financial risk in terms of making sure that these funds are made available for the development of this key infrastructure in the rail sector. The project that was just mentioned, the Kano-Maraldi one, the private sector is taking a significant financial risk, and they are making sure that this project is... So the bureaucracy that you have here and there is eliminated, the efficiency of the private sector is brought in, and then you can see the benefits, coming close. And, you don't want to talk about the enormous employment opportunity that these transactions or projects will bring to the Nigerian system, and the economy, is better for it.
And since we're talking investment, earlier we mentioned the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund, but I'd like to know, since the ICR is the bridge between ICRC, I beg your pardon, between the federal government and, of course, the private sector, is there room for alternative financing, more like to raise funds, beyond what is on the template, as a means of boosting capacity?
Oh, yeah. There are various sources of funding for infrastructure. We've been talking about the PPP, which is, allowing the private sector to come in and take significant financial risk, put their money on the line, and then, of course, make sure that these projects are properly structured, viable projects, and then the lenders can, have the appetite to lend. There is also, of course, loan. The government can, there are a few projects where government has taken source for loan. For instance, the Kefi Akwanga-Makurdi Road, which was through some sort of credit loan to do that. We also have alternative financing. For instance, the Sukuk, using Islamic finance. We've done a lot of job in that, creating that platform where the the Islamic financial instrument like the Sukuk can then be used to develop infrastructure. It's been done all over the world. The Emirates Airlines and most of these international projects have been done through Sukuk. And of course, we've done that, for most of the roads, even in the east, and some roads in the north. So there are a lot of, and of course, you can have the equity investments and etc. So there are a lot of other opportunities and models that you can bring in. The EPC plus F that was mentioned earlier is also another form. So the government is looking at the total package to see how this infrastructure can be provided for the benefit of Nigerians, looking at the various, and then we're really going to have a blend. Recently also, we're doing a lot of work in making sure that we have climate resilience infrastructure, developing toolkits to make sure that for instance, the Minister of Works was saying that they're going to be doing the concrete road. The idea is to ensure that our roads last longer, maintenance levels are lower, and then the terms of the contracts are respected and kept. So the private sector is also asked to do what they're supposed to do.
Indeed, Dr. Onwodi, of course, meeting deadlines is very crucial, so Nigerians can begin to feel the benefits of all these initiatives. Thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel Onwodi.
Thank you very much for having me in your studios.
Thank you. He is the Director of Planning, Research and Statistics, Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's